So, Doc, when you think about sports and athletes and chiropractic,
Hmm.
what are some things, or like, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
First thing for me, I would say injuries, and more specifically, soft tissue injuries. Yeah, that's probably the first thing that comes to my mind. What about you?
That's good. Other than that, um, I know chiropractic has shown to help with improving sports performance,
Hmm.
so that's a big one. Um, when it comes to flexibility, range of motion, it may be beneficial for that as well.
Yeah.
And then going back to the whole injury aspect, really just improving that recovery time.
No, for sure. And speaking on the injury, that's kind of what got me, well, not got me in, but that's when I first got introduced to chiropractic, where playing football in high school, injured my shoulder, and the athletic trainer was a chiropractor, so had me come to the office, and that's where he did different types of therapies, obviously the chiropractic adjustment, but really enlightened me on how chiropractic can help with sports injuries. So that was a great insight on um, not just the physical therapy, because that's what you typically think of when rehab, especially
Or
in
like
sports
athletic trainers
or
and stuff
athletic.
like that.
Correct, yeah. So to hear another profession that can help you on the rehabilitation side of things, that was pretty cool to learn about that. So
And that was in high school?
I was in high school. So
Wow.
yeah, we talking over 10 plus years. So
See, that's crazy because, I look back and when I was in high school,
mhm.
I was not exposed to chiropractic care. I did not know what chiropractic was. I'd never seen a chiropractor back in those days.
All right,
And knowing what I know now, I wish I can go back in time and you know utilize chiropractic care not only when I got injured, but also to just have that routine care because that's the main the benefit, that preventative aspect to it, just making sure everything is functioning properly so you can perform to the optimal, what I'm saying, of your abilities.
yeah, no, I agree. And because I only went because I injured my shoulder.
Yeah.
And I had no knowledge of chiropractic. He was educating me along those treatments, but I had no idea about the preventative side, the sports enhancement side. Because he talked about, yeah, it can help you run a faster 40, or yeah, it can help you lift more in the gym. And I'm not saying it's going to help you with those things, but it definitely can have an influence on those things because we're working with the nervous system. So if everything's functioning properly, everything's in line properly, your body can function at 100%, you can perform a lot more optimally as opposed to if you are out of line, your pelvis is one leg shorter than the other, things of that nature. Had he talked about those things or I known about those things, I'd have been going for, just preventative care as well.
No, yeah. And even, piggybacking, I'm kind of going back to what you said about like the injury, because I think when it comes to that, and we're not talking about fractures or really severe injuries,
Right.
but when it comes to, first off, as athletes, you're going to get those aches and pains, the neck pains, the back pains.
Right.
And obviously, chiropractic is great when it comes to dealing with that. But when it comes to things like swelling, soft tissue swelling,
Yeah.
when it comes knee injuries, shoulder injuries, rotator cuff injuries, or even sprains or strains, right? How many times I've hurt my ankle, twisted my ankle, rolled my ankle, had a helmet to my ankle, and back then it was, you throw some ice or you just play through it, throw some ice afterwards, and then, when swelling goes down, kind of just keep going. But if I would have known that chiropractors can also, they have the tools available to help with a lot of soft tissue injuries, to reduce swelling, to cut the or reduce the healing time, especially when it comes to ligament damage and things. And obviously the severity takes or plays a factor in that. But it's like, man, there could have been so many times where I could have better utilized, chiropractic care to help me not only in that moment,
Right.
but like fast forward now where it's like, man, I'm dealing with issues that stemmed because I didn't properly healed correctly in the past or dealt with, things in the past. So I think having that understanding and that information, especially for like the young athletes out
Mm-hmm.
there, like, man, you utilize those tools early now, because in the future it'll definitely could play a big role, have an impact.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of the younger athletes now really realize the importance of preventative care. Like I think it is becoming a lot more cool to do, preventative work, especially with, these athletes that we have out here now, like LeBron, spending millions of dollars on just preventing his body, recovery and all of those things. But, to your point, like 15, 10, 15 years ago, we didn't know about I didn't know about chiropractic like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And, like I said, the only thing that I really knew about was like physical therapy when it came to the rehabilitative side of things and preventative side of things. And then obviously strength training too to get you stronger and whatnot. But, not knowing about chiropractic back then and now, I think there's been a big shift now where there's a bunch of different professions that could help benefit you on the preventative side of things. And now that chiropractic is being pushed in more of these professional sports like football,
Yeah.
Basketball, soccer, baseball, things of that nature, um, really having, really educating athletes that they don't just need to see these guys because they're injured, but see these guys to help prevent them from being injured or to get them ready
Yeah.
for their competition.
Yeah, like going to football, right?
Mm-hmm.
All teams have chiros on staff,
Right.
but they work with their chiros during season,
Mm-hmm.
also off
Off
season as
season.
well.
Right. Yeah.
And to your point, because those benefits, um, and it's that routine care,
Mm-hmm.
not just when you're feeling a symptom or two.
Right.
It's that routine care. It's a mind shift, or just the perception of, oh, why am I getting this treatment?
Yeah.
Um, you know, changes from a acute care to preventative to even, again, to really try to achieve optimal function. So
Yeah.
um, it's with technology, and also I think too, now everybody got cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's shown, because it's not like, oh, the last 5 years, boom. It's like,
Right.
athletes been getting chiro treatment,
Right.
but it's being shown, even on big stages like the Olympics and things like that. And so
Yeah.
I think there's just being uh, there's a light that's being shed on it, but those are like major sports.
Right.
You tend to kind of make that correlation.
Yeah.
Even the sports that you may not think about immediately.
Yeah, like your individual sports.
Exactly.
Yeah, we think about team sports a lot, but the individual sports we don't really put as much. There's not much light shine on them when it comes to the therapeutic side of things, because you don't hear about a lot of injuries when it comes to. Well, I'll take that back.
Yeah.
You'll hear about injuries
Because
you're not hearing about ACLs or
Yeah.
MCLs. Where some sports you may, like tennis, you may, because that's a multi-directional sport. So
Yeah.
you're going to be, you got to have agility, things of that nature. But sports like golf, it's only been more known now when they, you heard about Tiger. I think he sprained or did something to one of his MCL or ACL. I could be wrong,
but like with golf, you mainly think of like golfer's elbow,
Yeah.
the tinnitus and
Right.
stuff like that. But you don't really think of, oh, how can chiropractic care help my golf swing?
Mhm.
Or like, how can chiropractic care, help like the biomechanical side of the pelvis and the low back, and how that could, better my game and
Yeah.
keep me from, injury.
Right. No, yeah. And so golf is a unilateral sport, right?
Yeah.
So we're constantly,
Well, explain unilateral sport for those that
yes, good point.
you
So
know.
unilateral meaning that you're going to be in the same plane doing the same motion consistently. Whereas a multi-directional sport would be like football or basketball, where you are going different directions throughout the duration of your competition. So with golf, you're constantly making the same motion for hours at a time. So that would be like a unidirectional sport. Same thing with like bowling. Bowling, you're doing the same repetitive motion in the same plane. Um, but with those sports, people don't realize that a lot of injuries comes from overuse in that same, doing that same motion over constant periods of time. So that's why you'll hear of a lot of golfers having back issues because you're putting, number one, a lot of torque on your spine, especially your lower back, and then you're putting a lot of stress as well on your knee, specifically your lead knee. So those things kind of get lost when you're thinking about injuries, and people don't realize that chiropractic care could help with those things due to the different types of modalities that we could use to help with soft tissue, and then obviously the main component is going to be the adjustments to help with making sure that the nervous system is firing at all cylinders so that your body can heal at a lot quicker rate as opposed to not healing at a quicker rate.
Oh yeah.